Hello guys, welcome back to Pause and welcome to another spotlight video looking at Planet Zoo. This video today is looking at staff and zoo visitors and various other features surrounding that. So as with the other couple of videos that we've done here on the channel, do check those out if you haven't seen them already, as we delve into all the animals that have been announced or rumoured for the game, and then we also look at some general game features that have been announced or teased. So this video is going to continue that structure, and we're going to discuss staff and visitors and the kind of features that have either been announced, spoke about in the press, or strongly rumoured. So the first thing that we're going to mention today is something I touched on in the last spotlight video, and that is the fact that escaping animals will not be able to harm visitors. So for example, an escaped lion will not be able to eat any tourists. The way the game is going to deal with this kind of scenario is the public and the guests will become unhappy, therefore your rating will go down in those kind of parks. So it's not going to follow the same kind of structure as Jurassic World Evolution, where guests can get actually attacked by animals. However, there is still going to be a detrimental effect by letting your animals escape, as the team behind Planet Zoo want it to remain very family friendly and also take quite an educational focus, which we'll touch on in a few moments. They don't want any guests to be killed, so I think it makes sense. As mentioned, loose animals will prompt the guests to be unhappy and will ultimately leave the park. Right then, so we've spoke about animals, we've spoke about the relationship between the animals and the guests. Let's talk about staff and zoo visitors in a bit more detail. So obviously the game is called Planet Zoo. The main focus is going to be on the animals and the animal care. However, there's still a lot of focus needs to be taken and thought about the staff and the visitors. So very similar to the guests that you get in Planet Coaster and Jurassic World Evolution, you need to think about things such as their tiredness levels. Are they happy? Is there enough drink vendors? So making sure you put in drinks and food in the relevant areas. Are the enclosures easy to see? Have you thought about the paths, the access and the viewing areas when you've built the animal enclosures? Obviously one thing we've just touched on is the safety aspect. So are things safe? Are the animals going to escape? Are the enclosures safe? Are spiders going to escape or anything like that? And then obviously thinking about amenities like cash machines, toilets, is there enough bathrooms, are the facilities clean, and that kind of stuff. So generally the kind of things that we think about through most tycoon games will be present in this one. Also making sure zoo layout and design is thought about as not only the happiness of the guests, but also you'll have to think about your zookeepers. So do they need fast access to various enclosures? Do they need to fill up some food? Do they need to administer some kind of medicine? Obviously a massive jam of people would cause major issues, so thinking about paths and access for your staff as well as the guests is quite crucial. As they have mentioned on the Planet Zoo website, every creative decision you make impacts the lives of your animals and the experience of your visitors, so every single detail counts. So we haven't got any specifics in terms of jobs or any kind of what roles staff are going to actually take, but we do have a few bits we can take from a few press releases and also the trailer. So as we have seen in the promotional video, we can see that there are staff wandering around and they are taking care of the animals and also educating guests, which is going to be a big deal, and I'll talk about that in a moment. However, it's safe to assume that competent staff are going to be needed to clean and maintain habitats and ensure that they are well fed, that they have the right amount of play equipment, and also that they are treated well and also looked after in terms of any sort of medical treatment that is needed. I don't have any specifics just yet, as they haven't announced anything about staff roles, but it's safe to assume all that stuff will be thought about in this game. Okay, so on to something which I think is a really important part, and I've just teased this in the last couple of minutes. So research and guest education. Now this is going to be crucial. It has been mentioned that guest management builds on the foundation of Planet Coaster. However, they are planning to take this a little bit deeper and take an extra step in Planet Zoo. So the idea at the moment is that each guest is going to have a thing called an education bar. Basically, a guest will enter the zoo as a blank canvas, and then it's your role as part of the zoo and the staffing to educate the guests and give them more information beyond that of just looking at the animals. So the idea is these guests are going to enter with a thirst for sort of trivia and facts about the animals. So you need to devote staff and resources to research new animals, and also ensure you fill out a Zoopedia, which is going to be part of this game, with a lot of information. Then it's your role as the zoo manager or builder or whatever you want to call yourself, to get this information out there and communicate that to the guests through placing signs, speakers, or other educational devices near enclosures. So by factoring all that in, this boosts each guest's individual education level and will raise that education bar that we spoke about, with a lot of the animals that are not native to the zoo's geographical location. And this also will raise the education level of your zoo as a whole. So there's going to be a massive focus on education and research in this game, which I think is brilliant. I think it's crucial and brilliant that you get in that level of education and also conservation as part of this. So kind of on the same lines of that, we know there is going to be research staff. This is one of the only things we do know at the moment in terms of staff. So you'll be able to hire members of staff specifically focused on research, which not only helps you as the player to look after the animals better, so it'll give you tips on how to look after the animals, what's best for their habitat, what's the best toys, and that kind of stuff, but it will also educate the visitors, like I've just mentioned, through signs and speakers. And one of the main things about the research is obviously the ability to craft detailed habitats to bring your animals and natural environments home. As it's obviously not going to be a very successful zoo if you've got a lion in an enclosure that is meant for a penguin, for example. It's not going to go down well with the guests, and the animals are going to be unhappy. So it's your role as a zoo builder, manager, boss, to research and manage each species to allow them to thrive and help your animals raise families to pass on their genes onto future generations. Again, it's a few bits we have touched on before, that the animal welfare, the animal mating system is going to be built into this game. We don't know how exactly that is yet, but that is going to be a part of this, to ensure that you are breeding the animals in a safe way and ensuring that their future generations are going to go on and on and on. And then to sort of top all this off, there is going to be a conservation feature where you can release animals back into the wild. So you can try and bring animals back from the brink of extinction, breed them, get them all healthy, and then release them back into the wild. So that's going to be a massive focus in this game, and I think that's a really, really smart move by Frontier, because there's a lot of stigma out there about zoos, especially marine zoos, in the last couple of years. So I think to take that kind of stance and have a very educational conservation route with this, I think is a brilliant idea. It reminds me a lot of when Disney were in the early planning and building stages of Animal Kingdom back in the 90s. Their main focus for that was ensuring the animal welfare boxes were ticked. They hired experts from around the world to work on that part before it was even being built, just to make sure the animals were well looked after. And this is the same kind of thing, really. You don't want there to be any negative press surrounding a big launch like this game. So to nail that conservation and education route straight away, I think is genius. Okay, so that is our quick spotlight video today, looking at staff and guests. As always, there'll be a lot more information coming out over the next couple of weeks and months, so do subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all the content, and these spotlight videos will continue as new details are released. Massive thank you to MJ Carrier, who has been a big part of helping make these videos by getting all this information in one place, so massive thank you to you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a like down below. As mentioned, subscribe to the channel, stay up to date with all the content. Fancy a chat, head over to Twitter and Discord. And if you want to help us out, you can do that by going to our Patreon page. All the links are down below in the description. But for now, guys, thank you ever so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Cheers, bye.
Gonna build a mountain from a little hill. Gonna build a mountain, I hope I will. Gonna build a mountain, gonna build it high. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, I only know I'm gonna try. Gonna build a daydream from a wish that day